We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
With Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning, everybody. And the lead story today is one that usually wouldn't be the lead, but I figured that no one else is going to be covering this in the manner I'm going to be covering it. And I have a high likelihood that this story, although you may never see it in the press, or there may be an eventual blurb, or somewhere down the line there'll be some kind of a not a 60 minutes piece on it. What Dateline? Everybody loves the Dateline. Might be a Dateline piece on it. It'll be very dramatized. And in passing, they'll talk about some mental issues and struggles. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere they'll talk about medication on this or that really quickly. Now, who knows? Maybe it's going to be slipped into some of these articles about it. We're going to read one such article. But I will bet dollars to donuts this guy, who is a quote-unquote fantastic father, Joseph Emerson, who is now charged with 83 counts of attempted murder and tried to shut down the plane's engine, was on some sort of mind-altering prescribed psychotropic drug. Okay? It's one of those things that I question myself for not even saying like 100%. But hey, I get things wrong. Maybe the guy's never been on any medications at all. Repeatedly throughout my shows and my coverage of the news, I have often highlighted, outside of mass shootings, which are absolutely terrible, but when you see them done by students who are continually on medications and have mental issues, you're the conspiracy theorist. Like the woman who called into RFK Jr. for daring to point this out. Now, I didn't have this story queued up, but we might do it live. I was reading a story. Let's do it live. Where a woman killed herself after she murdered her 5-year-old. Now, again, these are tragic stories. They're absolutely terrible, but I've covered over the years these murders by family members, right? So let's do that right now. Okay? And by the way, look at that. You get to see into the mind of Bermas, maybe some precursors to what we'll be covering today. There's the Alaska Airlines that this occurred on. This is an Alaska Airlines pilot, but woman kills herself after murdering 5-year-old. 11 hours ago. Yes. I'm sorry, her twins. Her twins. It's worse than I thought. So, are you going to tell me, I mean, I guess let's play the audio here. Let's bring it, like this woman wasn't on some kind of medications to do this?
She was a very hands-on mom as far as what I could see.
31-year-old Katoria Hutto was known as Tori by her closest neighbor.
I'm just a person that was just trying to make it through life the best way that she could.
Saying Tori seemed overwhelmed at times, but nothing to hint about a drive to the Lake Jessup Bridge diving off. Her body quickly recovered. Then a well-being check found her 5-year-old twins, Ahmad and Ava Jackson, both dead in their beds. Investigators reaching out to Tori's mother.
The mom did relate to us that she has struggled throughout her lifetime with depression, but there's been nothing to indicate that she may act out with this level of violence.
So, once again, right there, it slipped in. Depression. Well, do you think she was medicated for that depression? What's your guess?
Towards her children.
The sheriff pointed out that at times tragedies occur after a buildup of other issues, but he said not at all in this case.
There is no history here. There is no history of allegations of neglect or abuse or anything like that.
The unknown is what killed the children. While a gun and bullets were found inside the home, the children were not shot. There were no signs of trauma.
It looked like 2 innocent 5-year-old children sleeping.
The medical examiner will be vital for finding a cause of death. The children went to a charter school which released this statement. The entire UCP community is deeply saddened by the sudden passing.
So, I mean, this is not something that's new. This is now something that has been normalized in our society. And we've only given more and more power to these pharmaceutical companies. Okay? Where is the accountability for that? There is no accountability. You know why? The people at the top love death. They love euthanasia. They love profiteering from it. And they love the fact that what? They're completely and totally criminally unaccountable. Whenever Big Pharma loses, like I got a few examples if you saw in there, just quickly before the show. And again, we are going to read this article here because I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, again, do you believe that this guy wasn't on something that was, again, prescribed him to do this? To out of nowhere? I mean, he was, he wasn't even the pilot at the time. He jumped seats behind the operating pilot, okay, on board, and tried to stop the engines. You're gonna tell me he's not on anything. Now, Pfizer loses, okay. That's just this is an example of Pfizer trying to scare people. It didn't have the actual video from buying any kind of generic Viagra because it cuts into their profits. Right? So this is I believe this is a $2.3 billion settlement from 2009. And this is the AG talking about it back in the day.
General, and in that role, I oversee a large portion of the federal government's civil litigation across the country, including the Department of Justice's efforts to combat healthcare fraud through the False Claims Act. I'm honored to stand here today with dedicated colleagues from within the Department of Justice as well as beyond it to announce a historic settlement with Pfizer Incorporated, a pharmaceutical manufacturer, and its subsidiary Pharmacia and Upjohn company, arising out of civil and criminal allegations relating to Pfizer's allegedly illegal promotion of various drugs, most notably Bextra. In a combination civil and criminal settlement, Pfizer has agreed to pay $2.3 billion.
So criminal who went to jail? $2.3 billion.
The largest healthcare fraud settlement in the history of the Department of Justice. Within that $2.3 billion is a criminal fine of $1.195 billion, which makes it the largest criminal fine in history.
So the largest criminal fine in history, right? I mean, it was just kind of washed away. We gave those criminals who had wasn't even criminal liability. Again, no one goes to jail for hurting people. I was watching, I forget what it was, but it was Sunday, and it was another one of these commercials for some other drug, and they just slip in there death. Death. I was just like, it's unreal. Everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, everybody's dancing. I mean, here's another example. Lipitor recalls. Right? I mean, it went on and on and on. And these are the people that are empowered. These are the people. So let me read her. An off-duty Alaskan Airlines pilot accused of trying to crash a plane with 84 people on board has been pictured for the first time as stunned locals on the street described him as the perfect dad, husband, and neighbor. Passengers have said they were told Joseph David Emerson, 44, my age, had a mental breakdown. You don't say it was a mental breakdown that he tried to crash a plane he wasn't even flying. Huh. Before he allegedly tried to turn the engines off midair from the jump seat on Sunday evening. Emerson has been charged with 83 counts of attempted murder for each person on board the Embraer 175 plane, who took off from Everett in suburban Seattle at 5:23 on Sunday. On top of the homicide charges, he faces an additional 83 counts of reckless endangerment and 1 count of endangering an aircraft, police documents show. The plane had been bound for San Francisco but had to be diverted to Portland International Airport amid the cockpit struggle when crew members allegedly managed to subdue Emerson. I mean, and here's, can you believe that's them on the scene, once they've landed, he's being escorted off. Just insane. Here he is with his wife and his children, and his wife and children. Now, I'm going to say it again. Like, let's hear. Let's just play this. There is little to no doubt, if any, that this man was prescribed medications that set this into effect.
Okay, I'll just give you a heads up. We've got the guy that tried to shut the engines down out of the cockpit, and he doesn't sound like he's causing any issue in the back right now. I think he's subdued. Other than that, we want law enforcement as soon as we get on the ground and park.
Yep. I would want law enforcement there too. He was not flying the plane, but sat in the jump seat, which is reversed for other pilots and crew members beside the main controls of the cockpit. Now, they're saying he's off duty, but he's in the jump seat. And, perhaps that's because he is off duty. You often see stewardesses and other airline pilots traveling, right? But, geez. Emerson's neighbors told DailyMail.com they lives with his wife, Sarah Stretch, and 2 young sons in a close-knit residential block in Pleasant Hill, California, in the rolling hills east of San Francisco. Nobody answered the door of his $1.2 million 4-bedroom home on Monday. So, look, first of all, in that area, he's $1 million. You wouldn't believe what real estate is now on the East and West Coast, especially in areas like that. Like, this guy's probably in all sorts of debt, okay, even though he's working all the time. Again, probably heavily medicated and had a mental breakdown. And I would say that mental breakdown was exacerbated by the medications. But hey, I'm speculating. Just saying. A lighthearted sign on the doorsteps reads, free flying lessons, inquire inside. Another reads, trick or treat, as the family-oriented neighborhood gears up for Halloween. Neighbors describe Emerson as a happy, playful dad, a friendly man with no issues they knew about. He played basketball with his kids on a court he built for them in the backyard and invited neighbors over for parties. They also had positive things to say about his wife, describing her as a doting mother and swimming coach who taught physical education at a local community college. Now, here's what's ultra frightening about these things, okay? I don't, from all accounts, and, I don't believe these to be bad people. All people, you guys, me, everybody out there, we're all going to go through our hardships. Nothing's ever easy. There are a bunch of challenges out there that have to be overcome, period. And I'm sure that their relationship was no different. But you just heard all those things. You lump in there some kind of medical prescription that now these people believe is there to help them. Okay? And there's no reason to question it whatsoever. And they don't understand the repercussions of that. Like, when you're having live time homicidal and suicidal thoughts that can be turned into actions to the point that it actually has to be said in the advertisements for these things. It's not just a lapse of judgment where you say something you don't mean. Okay, you might take it all. I mean, take it all. We just illustrated that. We're going to go to break. I want you to thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. It's Reality Rants with Jason Bermas, redvoicemedia.com, and redvoicemedia.com/uncensored to support the broadcast.
We interrupt today's programming to bring unfortunate news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. So take action now. The Federal Reserve's phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard and put your hard-earned assets in jeopardy. But here's the good news. There's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Speak to someone at American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Dial 833, the number 2 USA Gold. Yes, call now, 833-287-2465. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar. Call 833, the number 2 USA Gold. Yes, call now, 833-287-2465. Act swiftly, 833-287-2465.
All right, folks, we're going to continue with this article. Then we're going to move on to some other stuff. Got stuff on the climate scam. Got a few clips that, again, are only going to be able to be viewed over on the second hour. That's why you're going to want to be on the second hour over at rvmrumble.com. A lot of stuff yesterday. There's no way we could have played here on YouTube. Still struggling on the tubins. That's why I need you guys to share the broadcast. You know, it's tough out there. In an environment where you're not only shadow banned, but speech is really becoming a crime. Look at what's happening to Owen Schroyer, and I'm going to play Owen Schroyer's video he put out yesterday before turning himself in to do 6 months in prison for telling people not to go into the Capitol. It's incredible. And then cooperating with D.C. law enforcement and thinking that they were actually going to be true to their word. That's why I'll say it again and again and again and again and again. Not only am I always trying to stay out of a criminal courtroom, right? Especially when I'm covering news, I am thinking about that. I don't want to get arrested. Sorry. But also, I'm always trying to stay out of all sorts of litigation. Like, who wants to be wrapped up in that Johnny nonsense? That's why when I say to you, I'm speculating as to whether or not this person was on psychotropic drugs, it's speculation. I could be wrong. But like I said, keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out for articles on this, for little news blurbs, maybe for a press conference like the one we just saw, where you saw the gentleman say, well, she was struggling with depression. Like, I hate to say it, but it's so true that literally these pharmaceutical companies, when I talk about predators, man, they're not parasites to me. I know there's a lot of people that would disagree. No, they're predators. They're preying on not just, single mothers like the one you just saw there, but suburban families. They're preying on everybody and anybody. Hey, got insurance, got a nice lifestyle, get you into the doctor's office, fix all your problems. These magic pills, shaky, shaky, shaky. Don't have any money on social services, send you to a doctor, and hey, shaky, shaky. It's every segment of the population that they can sink their teeth into. And that is completely and totally evident by the fact that these commercials for every ailment you got, especially ailments that are now chronic, like diabetes. All right. And I mean, how many ads for betterhealth.com do I need to see? And now tardive dyskinesia all over the place, which literally is a condition that's exacerbated by taking these drugs. Like, it's everywhere. You're bombarded by it. Even myself, watching as a little TV as I do, and even the TV that I watch, again, like I'm hooked in like the NASA channel, or I'm watching MMA on weekends. So pretty rare I get mainline commercials. Anytime, like I watch a Rick and Morty episode, something like that, you cannot get away from these ads. Everybody is the target that they can put these people on. I mean, it is a brave new world. It changes your brain chemistry. I'm sorry. It's no bueno. No bueno. Oh, it's just really shocking, disturbing news, said one next door neighbor, Karen Yee. They are excellent neighbors. He is a fantastic father. He plays with the kids all the time. He's very friendly. He's just a great guy. He's very understanding of other people. We have a son with special needs, and he's very good to him. We just couldn't imagine him doing anything to hurt someone. It's very hard for us to believe that he would do anything intentionally like that. I can't fathom him doing anything that would hurt anyone. And let me tell you something right now. If this guy is indeed on the type of things that I'm talking about, the first mode of action is to put that in the public arena and make that the case. Because I got to tell you guys, I don't know him. I wasn't on the plane, obviously. But dollars to donuts, if I am right, and you take those out of the equations, this never happens. This never happens. Like, we have to start acknowledging that these type of drugs are causing psychotic, homicidal breaks in people. And it has been illustrated time and time and time again. And it has been marginalized. And for even us in the know, it is somewhat normalized. It can no longer be that. Okay? So, if I'm right, and I would imagine this guy's probably been on a cocktail of different things for months, if not years. Or it could be like this is like brand new, within like the first month, and he just totally disassociated. Let me reiterate again. All speculation. All speculation. But if that's the case, does this guy deserve to be in prison for the rest of his life because he was foolish enough to listen to his doctor and the bullshit propagated on the magic boxes? I mean, I have a hard time with that. Oh, she wanted to reach out to the family, see if there's anything she could do to help. My heart just hurts for them. Her husband, Ed Yee, echoed her sentiments. He's never had a negative statement about his job or anything like that. Probably liked his job. You know, people that like fly for a living, for the most part, even if they're not making money, for some reason they like it. They like to travel. They like to be up there. It's good to like your job. Lou Rossi, an elderly neighbor, described Emerson as a sweet man who recently helped him find items in a local Safeway grocery store and let him take some logs from his house to build a workbench for his own son. I watch the news all the time, and I see things happen in neighborhoods where people say they could never believe someone would do something like this. All I could do is vouch for his character, he continued. I've helped him do things around the house. He does a lot of stuff with the kids. I can't say one word that would be derogatory towards him at all. All I could tell you is he is a really nice man, and his wife Sarah is a really nice lady. And they never, ever even remotely made me think anything negative about them. Rossi, retired from the U.S. Air Force, said he'd sometimes talk to Emerson about planes and engines just casually. He seemed to enjoy his work. He was doing a lot of training time. I could always tell when he was gone because his car would be gone, he continued. His car runs on nitrogen, so it had a very different sound. That's interesting. Huh. It's an interesting little tidbit in there. Guys, they really went into it. They went into it hard to try to find anybody that would say anything negative about this guy, and it just didn't happen. By the way, can we get 100 thumbs up? How about 100 thumbs up on all platforms? Hey, Rumble, I'm looking at you. Hey, YouTube, I'm not trying to forget you. I just wish there wasn't so much censorship. Aubrey Gavello, who was on board the plane, said a flight attendant told passengers that Emerson suffered a mental breakdown. After we did land and the gentleman was escorted off, the flight attendant got back on the speaker and said, plain and simple, he had a mental breakdown. We needed to get him off the plane immediately. She said passengers were not immediately alerted to what Alaska Airlines called the security threat until a flight attendant told them over the speaker that it was an emergency situation and the plane needed to be landed immediately. Gavello said they were later told it was a medical emergency, and she heard a flight attendant tell the suspect, we're going to be fine. It's okay. We'll get you off the plane. So, let's see if there's video of the incident afterwards. I would imagine since most of it took place in the cockpit that we're not going to see much else. And I would imagine from his psychotic break, once he was subdued and he had realized what had happened, I don't know that he would have resisted too much. Probably total panic. But again, we'll see. We'll see. Another passenger, Alex Wood, said the pilot announced there was a disturbance in the cockpit. It was very professional, handled very calmly, and we didn't really know what was going on until we landed. See? So again, it probably all happened behind closed doors. Once the guy realized he had a psychotic break and what he had tried to do, it's not like he sat there kicking and screaming. That's the other really scary thing about this, man. Think about that. That is just a flash of unreality that could cost you everything. Not only you, but think about all the people there and all the lives affected after that. I'm a big fan of life. I'm not a big fan of death or mass death. Save that for video games. Save that for fictional entertainment. When it's happening in real life, it's bad news brown. I don't like seeing it exacerbated. And we as a civilization, as a society, as a culture here in America, have largely just ignored this and made it so not only is it continually acceptable, but it's almost unspeakable to talk about. Like, I'm reporting on this. The first question I'm asking, did he recently have any psychological mental issues? Is he on any type of medication? You know, was he given medication for something else that also happened to have psychotropic effects? You know, there's somebody in the comments section, and you're not wrong, that a lot of times pain meds, like if you have chronic pain or something going on and they can't figure it out, they'll offer you psychotropics. Not offer, they'll try to encourage you to take those as well. So that's a possibility with this guy. But again, I find it hard to believe that you have this type of psychological break without some kind of pharmaceutical involved. Just putting it out there. Once the plane landed, Wood said the police went to the back of the aircraft and escorted a handcuffed man off the plane. We know the suspect was wearing a lanyard, a sweater, and he looked like an airline employee. I mean, that's how quick this happened, and how much they weren't aware of what the incident was. Alaska Airlines said the crew secured the aircraft without incident. Okay. Flight 2059, operated by Horizon Air from Everett, Washington to San Francisco, reported a credible security threat related to an unauthorized occupant in the flight deck jump seat, Alaska Airlines said. We are grateful for the professional handling of the situation by the Horizon flight crew and appreciate our guests' calm and patience throughout this event. Live air traffic audio appears to show a pilot describing the person believed to be Emerson subdued after the incident, suggesting there was a struggle. We played it. He didn't even sound winded, right? We've got the guy that tried. Yeah, we actually played that. So listen, 6 foot, 44, or 6'1", 44, 210. We're going to follow that story only because, like I said, I have a hard time believing it's something else. We got to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to continue the first hour. It is Reality Rants with Jason Bermas. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share.
When I invented MyPillow, my passion was to help each and every one of you. And 20 years later, all of your support is what keeps us going. Because of you, we've been able to create thousands of USA jobs and help millions get the best sleep ever. To thank you, my employees and I are bringing you a limited edition MyPillow. The Giza Elegance MyPillow is made with my patented adjustable fill, the most amazing cotton, and a 2-inch pipe gusset. It has 4 custom loft levels, machine washable and dryable, and you get my 60-day money-back guarantee and 10-year warranty.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your limited edition 20th anniversary MyPillow queen size. Retails for $69.98, now only $19.98. That's right, get a queen size MyPillow for only $19.98.
From all of us here at MyPillow, it's America!
All right, we're going to move on, and I want to play this 2-minute or so clip of Owen Schroyer, pretty much completely uninterrupted. It's really him just telling people, hey, I'm about to go away. I am a speech prisoner. I totally believe that. And he talks about the fact, he just started a new Twitter, but he's not able to get his old Twitter back. And once again, I don't think it's okay that Alex Jones is deplatformed everywhere. I want to make that extremely clear. And it's certainly not okay that Owen Schroyer has been deplatformed. But I would also say that those guys over there, they still, hold a little water for the muskernuts. And when Elon says or does something that's of a positive nature, we talk about it, we examine it, we give him credit for it. But just because he says something of a positive nature, look at all the things he's doing and involved in. Like secret meetings with the Senate on AI that nobody's talking about. Still. Like we were one of the few outlets to cover it. It's really important. So we're going to play Schroyer here. I'm going to leave it uninterrupted. We got a slew of stories. Let's thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Second hour, we got plenty more for you, including some stuff that, hey, now, might not be able to say on this side of the hour. Here we go.
Owen Schroyer here, and I am about to turn myself in to be a speech prisoner in Biden's America. Unfortunately, we knew that things would get this bad. Unfortunately, we knew the Democrats were this corrupt, and now I have to hit the front lines and be a speech prisoner in Biden's America. And as I go, I am currently involved in litigation to try to get my original Twitter account back at All I Do Is Owen, where I had over 300,000 followers, but I've been censored there for years. So in the meantime, while I'm away, I've launched this Twitter account at Owen Schroyer 1776. It's actually run by a media team. It's not run by me, but my media team, who will be giving you updates while I'm incarcerated, daily updates while I'm incarcerated, sharing old video clips, new video clips, and as well as phone audio recordings and maybe even live recordings while I'm away. So please follow this account at Owen Schroyer 1776 for updates while I'm away, and spread this video far and wide to let others know, hey, Owen Schroyer is back on Twitter right here at Owen Schroyer 1776. And that year, 1776, is extremely important, not just because it was the founding year of our country, but the U.S. government is arguing that it's illegal for me to say 1776 in Washington, D.C. Don't believe me? Check the U.S. government sentencing memo for yourself. They said that me chanting 1776 in Washington, D.C. is worthy of 60 days in prison. So, it's Owen Schroyer, 1776. Please share this video, let people know I'm back on Twitter, and follow this account for updates while I'm away. Godspeed, and God bless.
And look, this is another example of why I think they're putting Trump in prison. That D.C. court system is donezo, man. There is no real free speech at this point. You know, there's, if you're big enough and you're causing so much of a ruckus, they will find a crime. They will find a way to prosecute you. They will frame you up as some type of a violent extremist or a revolutionary, even if that's never what you've stood for, right? I want to make it extremely clear. I have never, in my entire existence in social media or via internet broadcast, anything, on any show, any kind of media, because I don't believe it, called for a revolution. I've constantly said, look, our Constitution and Bill of Rights, they're great. They're awesome. They rock. Okay? We don't go by them anymore. We need a reformation of that. It's not a revolution. It's a reformation. Now, the powers that shouldn't be and their little mouthpieces don't like it when you say that, because then they have to acknowledge that we no longer live in a constitutional republic. And when they keep saying democracy, democracy, and our Constitution ensures it, it puts a glaring punch hole in that argument. It's like, what constitutional republic? Where is that right now? And, you know, I totally forgot about this, so I guess we're going to do this live. Talking to my brother yesterday, he was telling me the Supreme Court made a ruling on this case where it basically says that the Biden administration can do whatever they want. Let's see. Supreme Court rules. And that's with colluding with big tech. Okay? So let's see if he was correct. News. Supreme Court amends. Is this the Missouri case? Not sure. Boom. That's a gun law. No, let's just so everybody knows and see what we're doing. Limiting state prosecutors' appeals, unexcused. So this is a Missouri Supreme Court case. Parents, let's see if we could type in Biden. That gets us anything else. Social media lawsuit. Yes, 3 days ago. There it is, the Missouri Independent. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. I think this is the one that Allison Morrow may have actually been involved in. So the U.S. Supreme Court temporarily blocks order in Missouri social media lawsuit. Let's read this so we can get it down. The U.S. Supreme Court has temporarily blocked a lower court's order limiting executive branch officials' discussions with social media companies about controversial online posts. So the U.S. Supreme Court came in and blocked them, okay, from saying, hey, you can't collude with the government. Insane. See, look at this, the type of lawfare that they're waging against us without us even really knowing it. The lawsuit was originally filed by former Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, and not Eric Schmidt from Google, by the way, or formerly of Google, Alphabet, etc., and Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry, alleging the federal government colluded with social media companies like Twitter and Facebook to suppress freedom of speech. They're part of it. They're part of it. It's Trojan horse civilian systems. The Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans last month prohibited the White House, the Surgeon General's office, and the FBI, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention from having practically any contact with social media companies. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't work around that with third parties. Found that the Biden administration most likely overstepped the First Amendment by urging the major social media platforms to remove misleading or false content. But again, that started during the Trump administration. And that's what's so ironic about that Trump administration is because it started during the Trump administration on a slew of other issues. And then obviously the whole nightmare that we lived through, that was in the beginning of the Trump administration. And then what? It became the election during the Trump administration to Trump himself. Wow. How about that? So I hate this framed up as the Biden administration. It should really be the bureaucracies of the federal government and the national security apparatus. Period. On Friday, the Supreme Court placed a temporary stay on the order until it decides the case. It also agreed to immediately take up the government's appeal, meaning it will hear arguments and issues ruling on the merits in its current term, which runs until the end of June. Justices Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, and Neil Gorsuch dissented. And look, I got my problems with Thomas, but you better dissent on this one. Today, Alito wrote in his dissent, a majority of the court, without undertaking a full review of the record and without any explanation, suspends the effect of the injunction until the court completes its review of this case, an event that may not occur until late in the spring of next year. So what does this mean? This means that they open the door for any type of collusion between big tech and government for the next election cycle and whatever they have planned for us via these military conflicts in the Middle East and Europe. That's what that means. It's the carte blanche check. And there's little to no guarantee that it's going to be a positive response in late spring of next year after they review the case and take a look at all the records. See, the state court already reviewed the case, and the state court did the right thing, and this is the federal court, again, and I'm with Alito, inexplicably and without explanation, suspended that ruling because authoritarianism is the new thing. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey called Friday's announcement the worst First Amendment violation in our nation's history. We look forward to dismantling Joe Biden's vast censorship enterprise at the nation's highest court. I don't necessarily disagree with that. And honestly, I was oblivious to the fact that it took place recently. Didn't even realize that. And I even almost forgot about it today, and it just kind of popped into my brain. Horrible decision. Just, it shows you where we're at. And by the way, we talked about Trump recently. There's going to be another GOP debate. Trump's not going to be there. He's got a Florida rally planned. So, he's probably kind of there to teabag DeSantis a little bit. That's kind of his style. But, I want to bring up the point that there's a vast difference between the Trump campaigns of old and even what he did while he was the president of the United States, which he never really stopped campaigning, and where we are today with this campaign. What do I mean by that? Well, you talk about Twitter, and clearly it is not a free speech platform. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. The shadow banning, they're about to have 2 more tiers of pay to play, and it's like everything's proprietary. I've shown you the movement of my social media. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But when Trump first did that, he was everywhere. In other words, there was, out of necessity, once the mainstream media stopped broadcasting Trump rallies or anything like that, Right Side Broadcasting popped up, and it just was doing numbers, man. Boom, 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 boom. Live stream numbers like whatever. And then they popped up on other platforms, and they were doing numbers, man. Boom, boom. And you could find them. And I've illustrated before that you can type the guy's name in on something like Twitter. That's the freest of them all. And there's 5 to 10 videos of somebody else talking about him before he's talking. And then you can find a video of him talking. It's like 20 seconds long. It's a guy that does hour and a half rallies that I used to put on in the background while I was making thumbnails. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share. RVMRumble.com is where the second hour is. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Final segment of the first hour. Plenty to come. This is Reality Rants with Jason Bermas, back after this word from our sponsor.
Attention Americans, breaking news. Biden's dangerous plan for a digital dollar is underway. Don't be fooled. It won't benefit you. Take action now. The Federal Reserve phased deployment of FedNow began on July 1st, 2023. Be prepared. This may catch many off guard. Your hard-earned assets are in jeopardy. But there's a simple legal tax loophole to opt out of the digital dollar. Reach out to American Alternative Assets for a free wealth protection guide and discover how to safeguard your wealth with gold and silver IRAs against a failing dollar and volatile markets. Visit protectfrombiden.com. This invaluable guide provides precise steps to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals without any tax consequences. Be smart. Don't let Biden force you into using the government's new digital dollar. Visit protectfrombiden.com to get your free guide and get started. Again, that's protectfrombiden.com.
Final segment of the first hour. I want to hit some of these other news stories that I think are extremely important. Okay, don't let the Taylor Swift in the background. Isn't that great? Everybody's worried about Taylor Swift dating some football player. It's man, is that Taylor Swift? Oh boy, I can't get away from those headlines. Swiftie. I'm like, what? I mean, you can't get away from it so much. The headline is McConnell supports Biden's Israel and Ukraine aid bundle, hopes for functional house. And like when I pause the video, it's Taylor Swift. McConnell okays the pathway to global warfare, death and destruction. Taylor Swift. So Mitch McConnell, who is now totally in his twilight, is freezing up on camera, has had no business being in government 20 years ago, is as corrupt as they get. He's wishing for a functional house. And look, I really haven't even covered the new Speaker of the House because there isn't one. And right now I don't see a path to one. And I kind of like that. That's fine with me. Like, if we're just going to have some, like, showboat speaker that's going to sign off on war, no thank you. That's why I wasn't hating the crew that was continually not voting for McCarthy. Why would I fall under that ridiculous pressure? It's stupid. Again, McCarthy, hey buddy, where were those January 6 tapes we never got? We never got them. And look, it's not like I'd want a Marjorie Taylor Greene there. We saw her calling all these protesters, people protesting what was going on in the Middle East, agree with their tactics, don't agree with their tactics, right? Not call anybody who put their hands on her or physically assaulted her. Again, we have charges for those people, right? If you assault somebody, we have assault charges. You don't call them insurrectionists. You don't call them terrorists. If they haven't broken the law and they're simply protesting, but you disagree with them, you also do not call for their arrest. I mean, it's simple. It's simple. Like, I get it. You don't agree with their position. I might not either. They still get to speak. Everybody gets to speak. Biden delivered a second primetime Oval Office address last Thursday, seeking to gin up support for the White House's proposed roughly $106 billion package, entailing $61.4 billion for Ukraine, $14.3 billion for Israel, and $30.1 billion for other projects like border security. It's correct. No Americans are getting killed in Ukraine. We're rebuilding our industrial base. The Ukrainians are destroying the army of one of the biggest rivals. I have a hard time finding anything wrong with that, McConnell told CBS Face the Nation in an interview that aired Sunday. None of that's real. None of that's real. Like, you can call a lot of the U.S. special forces on the ground former. All right? But they essentially are privatized military units outside of our military law that use our former military. And a lot of them are not former. They're in direct contact with what? The U.S. military. And obviously, the weapons that are being used via this aid are from the U.S. military. So, like, Mitch McConnell, he's gross. It's all gross. There's McConnell, right, with Schumer together. Dozens of Republican lawmakers in both the House and Senate have publicly implored the Biden administration to decouple aid to Israel and Ukraine. In particular, detractors have been peeved about the war in war-torn Ukraine, largely being supportive of assistance to Israel. And again, craziness. Craziness. Like, it's easy for me to say, I don't like rave kids being killed by paratroopers. And it's easy for me to say, I don't like the power being cut off on 2 million people. It's easy for me to say, I don't like people living in an open-air prison. Like, it's easy for me to say, I don't like people who don't like people based on their race or religion, or are prejudiced on either of them. And by the way, whether that would be Islam or Judaism. I don't like it. I know. I sound like a far right-wing extremist. Now, I want to talk about this really quick. So, when we talk about speech crimes, we talk about censorship, when I talk about Donnie T in prison, I'm not, like, exaggerating. I really think they're putting him there. Trump denounced his report. He shared sensitive information with billionaire Anthony Pratt. Now, this is all about a submarine. And supposedly he showed him some documentation. Look, the Mar-a-Lago raid on his documents was twofold. One of it was a fishing expedition that they clearly didn't really find anything out, right? So you have that aspect of it. But then you had the aspect of them trying to legitimize this idea that presidents don't get to have access to their own documents, and that somehow what? Trump has committed treason. Let's go after him with the Espionage Act. And this also, what? In turn, sets up the Biden scenario, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. I mean, the Biden scenario, that's a way to get him out. Because right now, you still don't have any debates. You still don't have anybody outwardly saying they're going to challenge Biden, like other than RFK Jr., who's now gone independent, right? So, this Australian billionaire Anthony Pratt supposedly saw some documents, secret recordings of Pratt, who has been listed as a potential witness in the Trump classified documents trial, where he describes the former president's business practices of being like the mafia, were aired on Sunday by Australia's 60 Minutes news program. I mean, I've said it before, these are gangster groups. The recordings, also accessed by the New York Times and Sydney Morning Herald, includes Pratt's accounts of how Trump told him about the phone calls he had with leaders of Iraq and Ukraine in 2019. Okay. So he talked about phone calls he had with global leaders. Trump responded to the report on his Truth Social platform by attacking the Times, calling the story fake news and suggesting the story had been leaked by the DOJ. Duh. Calling Pratt a red-headed weirdo from Australia. Trump wrote he never spoke to him about submarines, referencing earlier reports of his interactions with the Australian billionaire. Yeah, because that was what they were trying to say. Is like he talked to him about the submarines, giving away the classified information. What are we talking about here? Yes, I'm sure that he slid documents to some Australian billionaire about classified submarine plans. He's like, can you imagine what the conversation is really like? We have great submarines. They're amazing. They're nuclear powered. Very small reactors. Tiny, long time. Very powerful. All right, let's throw them in prison. The former president said he did speak to Pratt about creating jobs in Ohio and Pennsylvania. Trump said that the Times never reached out to him for comment on the story and claimed they just write anything they want. Although the outlet notes that it reached out to the Trump organization and received no response. I don't know about that part of the story. So there you go. Those are the bullet points of that Johnny nonsense. It's unreal. We played some of that yesterday, and boy, it's killing me lately, guys, that a lot of these Twitter clips, I just can't grab them. There's this long one that we might get to mid to end of the second hour, which is just around the corner, which is really one of these old school, I would say it has to be 90s VHS breakdowns of the history of climate change. We do have a nice Gore clip for you. So, look, we read a lot of this article yesterday. The Enemy Within. We went over the new designation that so many just Trump supporters or MAGA Republicans are now being classified under, and it's DVE, and that is domestic violent extremist, for voting a certain way, which is bad. It's just terrible. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. But the article is even more frightening when you see how much of that apparatus is turned in. And again, if you watched the broadcast yesterday, we spent a large portion discussing what? Police State, which is the new Dinesh D'Souza film. I think it's policestatefilm.net that you can go and still get tickets if it is playing somewhere in your area. And I encourage people, please go watch that movie and bring somebody who might not be in the know about any of this. Bob Menendez pleads guilty to acting as a foreign agent for Egypt. It's the gold bar guy. Democratic Senator Bob Menendez pled not guilty on Monday to claims he accepted bribes from the Egyptian government and acted as a foreign agent while he was a member of Congress. The embattled 69-year-old New Jersey lawmaker was in Manhattan courts for less than 5 minutes as he denied the latest indictment, ignored questions from hordes of reporters as he left. There he is right there. Not sure where this one's going. Still not exactly sure why he was burned in the first place. Maybe it's just the whole thing of the gold bars thing. We're going to talk about these stories. There's two of them right here. In the second hour. They're not stories that are proper here. Is this a Tesla killer? Toyota's EV breakthrough will allow cars to travel 745 miles on a single 10-minute charge, more than double the range of most existing vehicles. And plus, I mean, that's a very quick charge. See, that makes EVs much more accessible and practical. Now, we could have arguments about the lithium mines and how green they really are, all that stuff. I'm just saying that's a game changer in the technology. And for me, look, when I look at these things, it's clear that the main motivation is they would like to shut off the power. That's the reality. And they want that on-off switch. And generally, fuel-based cars, especially older ones that don't have, starting mechanisms that are remote, it's not the case. All right, one final commercial in the first hour. When we come back, I'll tell you where you can watch the second hour for free. Did I mention it was free? That's rvmrumble.com. All right, last commercial, back after this.
If you're like me and you want to be prepared for the unexpected,
that's where the Wellness Company's emergency medical kit comes
over
in.
40% of Americans say that they would avoid a doctor or a hospital unless it was a catastrophic situation.
Medical emergency kits with...
The kit contains 8 potentially life-saving medications for you to keep on hand in the event of natural disasters, supply chain shortages, medical emergencies, or like an apocalyptic situation. These are the actual medications that you would need in the event of certain situations. So they've got emergency antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics.
All right, folks, it is time to head over to rvmrumble.com for the second hour. We're going to be talking biodefense and beyond. Hope you do to join me. We're also going to be talking about climate change, and that'll probably be the next censorship taboo, especially, I mean, again, you're talking about that Supreme Court case that's just not getting any attention whatsoever. And they're like, yeah, don't worry, next spring. Not this coming, next spring we might get to it, huh? Maybe we'll get to it, or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll get to it, or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll push it back indefinitely. That's the new America with a K. All right, folks.